r/ask Reddit. What is the most $1 has ever gotten you? When I was 16, my aunt and uncle wanted to give me an old hand-me-down car that both my cousins used when they first got their licenses. But because of tax purposes, it made more sense to sell the car to me. I bought my first car for $1. A wife. I signed up for a river tour in a foreign country. It cost me an extra $1 to ride in the first boat leaving. Didn't want other boats in the way of my photos. Met someone on that boat who later introduced me to her cousin. Been married 8 years. I bought a cookie for $1 at a bake sale. Didn't really want it later on. Gave it to a lady I worked with. She loved me for it. I was her favorite after that. That lady was my a-hole of a boss. Best $1 ever. Once bought a beer for €1. Turns out you get a raffle ticket with each drink. Long story short, I won a surfboard. What did you do with a surfboard? Traded for beer. I was working retail and one of the old ladies who used to come in and look at the TVs in my department while they waited for it to be time for the bus back to their independent living facility came over all faint. She asked if I had anything sweet she could have. I got a Coke from the drinks machine and the break room and she drank it slowly, holding onto my arm. My manager had called her an ambulance and they loaded her up and took her away. Diabetic. The EMT said the Coke was just a thing for her and slapped me on the back. I still remember her little wave as she left. She lived. I didn't save her life or anything. But that $1 made the difference between her getting into the ambulance conscious and with dignity versus unconscious and sick. She said later when I visited her at the hospital that she might have had to move from independent to assisted living without it. So that was a good $1. Best soda I never drank. This is amazing. You say you didn't save her life. But who knows? You could have done. If she'd had slipped into a diabetic coma or something, there's a chance they might not have been able to get her back. Well done you. You should be mega proud of yourself. A friendship. To clarify, I live in Europe and we actually don't have dollars here. Duh. When I came back from New York I had some dollars left and had them in my wallet still for a long time. Even when I forget about them from time to time. Once I was talking to a girl I met and started talking about America. She had never been there and I remembered that I had $1 in my wallet. I gave it to her and she was really happy. Still talking to her to this day. Only a bit less than we used to, but safe to say I can call her a friend of mine. $1 for a friendship is definitely worth it. A full evening's entertainment. I bet my friend $1 he wouldn't break into our university's football stadium. He did, but he did so right in front of a security guard, who then proceeded to chase him around, flashlight waving the whole time, in full view of the rest of us outside a fence. This chase went on for probably 5 minutes, through the stands and across the field. My buddy came flying out a different fence, but ripped his pants open in the process, sharp top to the chain link. So he was then running down the street away from a frustrated security guard while giving said guard the full moon. If unintentionally. Anyways, that led to getting beers while watching cop cars drive around the neighborhood slowly. I can only assume looking for a guy with no ass to his pants. Totally worth $1. I bought a McDonald's burger for this homeless guy near my old job. The guy was grateful, so he taught me how to make origami cranes and we became friends. Fast forward follow up. He got back on his feet and now has a nice apartment and a really annoying, yappy dog. Teaches craft classes at a local community center. He teaches crafts. That is, his dog doesn't teach. That'd be silly. I won $40 off of a $1 scratcher once. That was an awesome surprise. I used to work at a motel doing the night audit. There was a Papa John's across the street, and in a I scratch your back you scratch mine agreement they would deliver me a 10-inch pizza for $1 as often as I liked. I would tip $1 to the driver, and suggest Papa John's to any patrons looking for a bite to eat. Smart Papa John's franchisee right there. Most hotels have some kind of unspoken deal with the desk staff. My wife used to work overnight at a hotel and the restaurant employees would often bring over extra food while delivering other orders. It's a good way to get some cheap advertising. Okay, to preface this, we grew up really poor and every now and then we would go to this cheap store where everything is expired and my mom would let me and my siblings, there's 4 of us, have $1 to spend, and so we would try to make it count, and I think the most I ever got was a sucker, a Tootsie Roll, an apple juice box, and 8 gumballs. Sounds like a sweet duck in haul for $1. I traded a bunch of $1 coins for $2 coins when my little brother was dumb enough to believe that, because they were bigger, the $1 ones were worth more. Mine was led to think shininess was value. McChicken with mac sauce. Didn't get charged for the mac sauce. Beautiful. Lived in Oregon for a while with no sales tax. Nice to be able to go in with a dollar bill and walk out with a McChicken. Bought a raffle ticket for $1 and ended up winning an advent calendar of Jim Beam whiskeys valued at $45. It was only 12 days worth and I drank it all on the first day. Got really drunk and banged a chick who got pregnant. And now I'm in crippling debt because she had a baby and left me and filed for child support. Best $1 ever. I have a friend who put like $1.50 into a CSGO skin jackpot back when CSGO gambling was a thing. He probably had 1% chance of winning, but he won the whole thing. Like $100 to $200 of skins. So what did he do next? He put all of his winnings into a coin flip. 50/50 chance of either losing everything or coming out with double. Dot. He won. Seems like any rational person would stop there, but he did it again. He bet all $200 plus in another coin flip, and won again. If he had lost either of those coin flips, he would have been back where he started before entering the jackpot. At that point he finally decided to chill out a bit now that he had $400 worth of skins. He spent the next few days doing coin flips for hundreds of dollars, not all of what he had, but parts of it, and eventually ended up with $1,000 plus worth of skins. I knew where he was doing coin flips and would sometimes watch the guy put like $400 on the line. He was betting during class, lol. He got greedy, though. He did bigger bets and didn't slow down. About a day after his inventory had reached $1,000 in value, he told me he had nothing left. He lost it all the same way he won it. All of this happened over the course of 4 days. What a wild ride that was, LMAO. Not $1 but 60p. Got me 2 donuts from Sainsbury's which I enjoyed with my mate when we went to a football match. Probably the most I've ever appreciated a food item. That 60p was literally all I had left in my bank account. If I'm ever down to my last dollar, I hope I can enjoy it on a nice donut. When I was very young, around 6, I think, I was sitting on a curb trying, and failing, to play my new, toy, guitar, when an old man put a dollar bill at my feet. I was absolutely flabbergasted, and tried to give it back to him, but he explained he was tipping me. I was then introduced to the wonderful and lucrative world of busking, from which I have received lots of enjoyment and cash in recent years. I want to be an artist in a park working on pieces with a hat by my feet for tips. But my local park requires you to buy a permit to do that sort of thing, and it's like $200. $92. Worked a coat check at an auction and we weren't supposed to have a tip jar. Well, someone placed an empty glass on the counter and eventually someone else thought it was a tip jar and started tipping. I said nothing. It got so full that I had to empty it, and then people no longer tip because it was just an empty cup. So I put $1 back in, which made people assume it was a tip jar again, and then the tips came flowing again. Second wave of tips made $92. So putting $1 back in made me $92. I regret absolutely nothing. This is psychology. My sister learned this in class and used it when she worked a concession stand one summer. She threw $1 in and customers started tipping. I don't know if this counts, but I went to a local casino a few years ago and I was down to my last $2. I was halfway out the door defeated, but I walked by a row of cheap slots. I found a 20-line game at 1 penny per line. So I put the last of my money in the machine and I had a decision to either bet 20 cents, 40 cents, 60 cents, 80 cents, $1 or $2. I only had enough money in there for one spin at max bet, but I kinda wanted to make what little money I had last. I decided 40 cents a spin. To win the jackpot on this machine, you needed to get the top symbol, which was a race car I think, across an entire line for it to hit. The reels are spinning. It felt like slow motion. The 5 race cars landed across the center line. Some old guy sitting next to me who had been playing there starts freaking out. "You just hit the jackpot." I got really excited, but then the money stopped counting after $80. Turns out you needed to be playing max bet, $2 a spin, in order to trigger the jackpot. Instead I won $80 off a 0.40 cent wager. 100 Swedish fish. My local public pool sold them by the penny when I was a kid. My mom would send us in with enough money for admission, and if we were lucky enough that she gave a large bill to break for change, we'd go to the concession stand. Treats at home were rather scarce, so I cherished any candy I could get my hands on at the pool. It's one of my sweetest memories, in a literal and figurative sense. Played a game at a fundraiser that had £1 entry. Had to slide the coin as close to the bottle as possible. Ended up winning 1.5 liters of brand vodka. The following weekend me and some friends went camping for a few days. Safe to say that bottle went to good use. I bought for 50 cents at Goodwill on separate occasions a copy of Ticket to Ride Europe that was brand new and retails for $50. An old war board game expansions brand new that I sold for $150. A like new Gamma Cube copy of the Mega Man Legacy Collection that I sold for $65. Did this thing with Scouts where we were given a quid to buy something with and then had to try and swap it for something better. Ended up with one of those VR headsets you put your phone in. A pair of glasses with a fake nose attached. More perfume sticks than any rational group of 16-year-olds could ever need. And a poster for a musical happening in the town that week. My BSA troop had a yard sale many years ago. At the end I offered one of the parents $5 for everything they had left since they were planning to dumpster it. It was a bunch of cardboard boxes full of trinkets and miscellaneous stuff from their grandfather who had passed away's house. And I figured I'd find at least my $5 back. I got home and discovered that inside of a cheap-ass Harbor Freight plastic toolbox there was a set of S&K sockets, a blue point ratchet, and a spread of pliers and screwdrivers from Klein & Nipperks, as well as 2 rigid pipe wrenches and an Estwing hammer, as well as a bunch of other really nice name brand tools, all older stuff. Very obviously well loved but still in serviceable shape. I still have everything. If I tried to buy that stuff new it would probably be $1,000 in tools. There was also the time that I got paid to pick up 3 truckloads of aluminum, copper, brass, and stainless steel HVAC stuff that I got about $1,700 in scrap for. Buckets upon buckets of pipe trimmings, fittings, and scrap tubes somebody had been saving for years. $1 is about 50 pesos in the Philippines, enough to buy a pack, 24 PCS of ice popsicles several decades ago. During summer breaks, I'd buy a pack and sell per piece to our neighborhood kids. I'd restock from my initial capital plus earnings until the new school year starts and I'd earn about 500 pesos. Saved me from getting mugged, and gave me a great story. I live in Los Angeles and at the time I was a teenager taking the subway to work. I see a guy dressed as Jack Sparrow, one of those guys who walk around Hollywood and Highland for photo ops, going through his pockets looking for money to buy a ticket, but he just keeps coming up with gold coins. He, in character, asked if I could help him out because he forgot his wallet at home and was $1 short. I'm like, yeah, this is funny enough. He earned the dollar. Give it to him. That evening I'm riding home and as I'm leaving the station, some guys start coming at me and are clearly looking for a fight. Out of ducking nowhere comes Jack Sparrow brandishing his fake sword, screaming at them to back off. Okay, so now it's 2-on-2, but we're still in danger. Jack's got a fake sword. I'm unarmed. They have real knives. Well, apparently some of his friends were riding with him, and now they catch up. Now it's 2 muggers on one side, and on the other the most cartoony shit I've been involved in. Jack Sparrow, Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees are standing between the muggers and me, talking shit, except Jason, who's just standing there menacingly looming over them. The muggers decided 4-on-2 wasn't a good bet and backed off. I told my mom when I graduated college I was gonna buy myself a GoPro to take with me on a music tour that following summer. She told me to use her credit card rewards and see what I can find for the points she had accumulated. It turns out she was 10 points short of earning the exact camera I wanted. I called customer service to ask if I could just pay the difference, and they told me I only had to pay $1 for the camera. Few days later I received a brand new GoPro 5 just in time for my music tour. A kid's first Slurpee. I worked in a very high need school in inner city Tampa. I had a particularly tough first grade kiddo, second time around, and was making a much needed behavior plan for him. Poor kid was a pissant. Never saw him smile except for picture day, and the forced grin was horrifying. Honestly, no handle on his emotions and basically operated on a feral level, not unlike all his peers. Anyway, I asked him what he would like to earn as part of the plan and he said the blow machine drink. After some questioning, I realized what he meant. A Slurpee. He said he never got anything expensive. It took him all damn year but he eventually earned that Slurpee 3 days before the last day of school. I let him eat with me that day during lunch and he was over the moon. This is a child who would roll on the ground, smack me, bang his head on the wall, and snot cry when he couldn't cope with minor challenges. By the end of the year, he trailed after me like a puppy, could read on level, and took pride in his work. When he realized I wasn't going to be his teacher the next year and that I was leaving the school, he cried longer and harder than any child I've taught. I think of him often. About $200 at a slot machine. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.